This is the jungle, a place that Sirvivzzz members could only dream of going to. The only two options were taking the treacherous journey through the nether that could see you dying to cliff drops and lava, or by walking and boating over 9,000 blocks in the overworld, taking multiple days. It was found during the 50k adventure, which would define Sirvivzzz in 4 major ways. The first would be through the Jungle Canal, a canal that was planned to be dug for 5,000 blocks in the overworld, making the trek more doable. But through creating fear in the dig team, I was pressured into using the nether to skip the quote-unquote giggity zone. Upon figuring out how fast the nether was, we gave up on connecting to the jungle, for now. What's up, humans of the earth? I'm Broscheme, and we've been rather busy. We went and found a stronghold near spawn, and we're just getting the last few blaze rods and ender pearls to open up the end portal and fight the ender dragon. And in between repairing, we've changed spawn island from this to this, making it actually manageable instead of a wasteland. Anyway, soon after we went to fight the ender dragon, and let's just say the fight was an absolute mess. For the majority of the history of Sirvivzzz, we were using a free server host called Minehut, and the way Minehut works is it stores each dimension as its own separate world file, meaning that, at least when this was recorded, each dimension had to have every game rule re-enabled for it. And since we were big noobs, Sirvivzzz has always had keep inventory on. And my neat freak 2020 self did not like that one bit, which is exactly why I'm not gonna unmute the footage and instead tell you what ended up happening here. That depending on how you look at it, the dragon egg was technically stolen by Invalid. I basically said that we should leave the dragon egg on its post and that we should do a challenge to determine who gets it. But as you can see in this footage, that is not what happened. This is a moment that me and probably Invalid completely forgot happened, and would have been lost to history if I hadn't recorded this. And with that, we are ready to try conquering the jungle yet again, and we return out to revolutionize the entire history of Sirvivzzz in the process. This is the Transportation Revolution, the second major impact of the 50k adventure. This is the exact moment when we realize the power of ice railways. Sirvivzzz has a long history of bases, some hidden in plain sight, and others not so much. Every hidden base has a purpose, and once that purpose is fulfilled, the base is usually left to rot, and sometimes it's so hidden that when the location gets forgotten, the base becomes nothing more than a memory for old players and a legend for new ones. This is the Sunset Corporation, the first group in Sirvivzzz. Sunset Corp was first founded by Invalid near the end of Sirvivzzz 8, and almost immediately got re-established in Sirvivzzz 8.5. They have a long history of building bases around the server, and that history starts right here. This is codenamed SD Cards, a collaboration between Sunset Corporation and myself in order to research and better understand parallel universes in Minecraft. After 5 years, this is the official declassification of SD Ruins, the SD cards, what they stood for, and what their objective was. However, I have been advised to not tell you the location of SD Ruins due to the high likelihood of land disputes in the area occurring during this video's release. Like with most secret missions, the story is rather unclear, but I remember I found out about a working duplication glitch involving spawners and minecart tracks. I remember not being able to figure it out myself, so I asked Invalid and we created a base to test dupe methods, calling ourselves the Super Dupers, or in public, the SD cards. You're currently watching the only footage of us trying to actively get the dupe working. This remains the only footage of any hidden base in use, until exactly 5 years and 16 days later, the night before the most infamous event in modern Sirvivzzz history, March 15th, 2025. But we're still in February 2020, and unfortunately for us, the goal of the SD cards failed, and this is where everyone who knows what happened thinks the story ends. Maybe even Invalid himself and the Sunset Corporation. I say maybe because I truly don't remember if I told him about this or not. But there was one more dupe method I wanted to try. A dupe involving time travel and parallel universes through memory overload. All I needed to do to get this dupe to work is to take all of my wealth and my Sirvivzzz credit card info and put it all in a singular chunk. Then from there, I'd hire Chinese President Xi Jinping off of Fiverr in order to precisely keyboard spam multiple books in Chinese to fill a chest in order to overload Minecraft's memory, thus making the chunk not save. And then if I did all that correctly and maybe added a few more steps, then all of my wealth and my credit card info would be in 2 places at once due to the chunk not saving. thus duplicating and doubling everything I've ever worked for. This dupe was tried in a new, completely different SD card base, and the place it was tried is the first completely forgotten base in Sirvivzzz. It was in the nether, somewhat near spawn, most likely in the westward direction. It was just a mined portion of a chunk, and other than that, nothing's known about this place. Next up, we see the first ever footage of the Bee Sanctuary, set up by the Sunset Corp far from spawn in order to experiment with the new Buzzy Bees update. I think that's what it was called. Dude, and then literally, it's all just me fishing, bro. Like, I am hecking desperate for a Nautilus shell. Like, I literally, bro. Like, I'm fishing at my island, and I'm fishing under my farm. Then I go over to Invalid's island, I'm, like, fishing on his island. Then, like, after that, I'm fishing in his mine. Then after that, I'm fishing in his mine. Then I don't even hecking know how I got here, but now I'm fishing in some underwater cave, and it's, like, it's crazy. And then we go on a little hunt for music discs. This is a thing we were doing in early Sirvivzzz a lot, where we try to get skeletons to kill creepers to get all the original music discs. This was back before pig step was even a thing. And then it's back to even more fishing. Like, guys, literally, me fishing is taking up like 10 gigs of space. I'm like, yo, hold on, what's that? That, my friends, is the future, where Invalid has an elytra, and I have my very own country. Kind of. You see, future nations always had some sort of declaration of independence, or like some funny speech thing, or whatever, right? But my country was created in a relatively unique set of circumstances. The only logical conclusion I could come up with is that I created the country during the times where tensions between me and the Sunset Corporation were starting to ramp up. But the thing is, this process would happen over many months, so it's kind of tricky to say exactly when I stopped being a normal server member and started being a Malonian. So, for the sake of the story, we'll say that the nation that I regrettably named the Melon Men now exists. Now, obviously, this is a pretty stupid name for a country. And so, until I get my act together and change the country's name, I will be referring to myself as a Melonian individual, okay? But just know the actual name of the country is Melon Men, but I'm not going to say that more than 2 times in this video. And honestly, that's about it for Chapter 1. I've been slowly working on these 2 videos over the course of a year and a few months. And they're definitely far from perfect, just because of my idea of what this series would look like has changed so much in the time I've created these. So in the future, my plan is just sort of go over an entire era of the server in one video. Those videos will be very big picture and generalized, and then in the future, I might dive into specific topics as their own sort of mini videos. But either way, thank you so much for watching this video or the last one or both. And I am, of course, super open to criticism. I always am, but especially in this case, I really encourage it, because despite what it might look like, I have no idea what I'm doing in terms of storytelling. But regardless, thank you so much for watching and enduring my yapathon, and I will see you guys in the next video, which hopefully won't be 6 months apart. Okay, bye.